All right. Well, it's been a while. I know. I've been going through some health issues. Hey, Sir Smash, and I've had to take a little bit of time off, but I am feeling much better now. Kind of cleaned out the old diet. I'd kind of been pushing it. And I'm here back to go back over some more Sharn, and then in about 2 hours we'll be on the main DDO stream for Bard Live playing some Dungeons and Dragons online. But we're doing this because everybody who knows me knows that I am super pumped for Sharn, and right now we're in Evening Star and I'm on my dwarf and whatnot. But let's not forget that the important part of this stream is certainly boom this right here, Sharn, City of Towers. And today we're covering guilds and organizations. Actually, we're going to be taking a look at some of the various guilds and organizations that we might encounter in Sharn. Some are very familiar with us. There's going to be a couple of old friends, but there's going to be some new factions too that I think that will be terrifically interesting. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. Why shan't we? I don't have my backdrop up. I'm not going to be able to put my backdrop up until October 3rd is the D-Day. So it's just too kind of cumbersome to have out and whatnot, and we don't know when things are going to happen. So I'll probably put it up for the 22nd stream, but all right, guild and organization. As a major city and a center for trade and commerce, Sharn is filled with guilds designed to improve life and working conditions for members of different fields. These include all the guilds associated with the Dragonmark mercantile houses as described in Chapter 3 of Eberron. However, there are a number of guilds that are of particular interest to adventurers, groups that provide benefits for members of a particular class or services that could be useful to an entire party. There are adventurers guilds, and now just the name kind of gets something inside of me because I'm a big fan of the original Bard's Tale, and you started out in the Adventurers Guild. And I do think that there's a little something missing from that where we kind of I think we could use a big social zone with a large number of people that would serve as kind of, a place maybe for an alternative for looking for more, where we all just get together, interact socially, and maybe we can find out ways to, increase looking for mores. I know that sometimes that it seems like it's hard to get into groups nowadays. I know my friend is currently in a pretty good static group, and I have not been able to partake in the wonderment that is running with them, but I could see where it would be easier to socialize in this area, maybe have text bubbles, something like that. I mean, there are a lot of good opportunities here. So Sharn contains two general adventuring guilds, the Clifftop Guild of Upper Dura and the Death's Gate Guild of Middle Tavik's Landing. And even I remember my own streams to know that the one we'll probably get if, the limited Sharn at launch that I suggested of the two areas, we'd get Deathgate. The Deathgate Guild of Middle Taviks. Middle Taviks being the intrapot for Sharn kind of needs to be there. To join an Adventurers Guild, a character must gain the approval of at least 5 current members and must pay the annual dues, 13 gold pieces. Make that platinum for us, for Clifftop. Probably make that 13,000. Most of us have that. And 12 gold pieces for Deathgate. In exchange, he gets access to the guild house and the companionship of fellow adventurers. And we can already see that this also could be a place for guild housing. I mean, we already have the airships, admittedly, but as a couple of guildies were marking the other day, that it would be nice to have a place where we could put, as we complete sagas, maybe they would give us decorations that we could use to brag about in our own guild house. While the guild house, the character receives a +2 knowledge on any bonus on any knowledge check concerning Zendrick. We should already get that because we're coming from Zendrick. Accommodations, store items, voluminous vaults. Now, playing DDO long enough, everybody knows that the longer you play, the more you hoard, and the more you hoard, the more you need storage. And it sounds like, wow. So we're already talking about maybe guild houses, storage. The guild maintains lists of references for hirelings and inquisitives that work for guild members. So obviously, we could probably see a hireling hall. In addition, members share information and may help one another find jobs or expeditions. So inviting people to your guild hall would certainly be a thing. On the other hand, if they decide to do this as a social zone, it would be really interesting to maybe see it as a revamping of, or in addition to the looking for more system. I don't mind our looking for more system. I think it does its job adequately. I'm sure I'm not thinking of ways that it could be improved, but you get to post the quest you do. You get to see who's already in the party. You get to see the level range. You get to see whether or not you own it. I mean, these are all things that you don't see, say, in certain other games, say like Lord of the Rings Online or Star Trek Online, the two I play. So I actually think our looking for more is pretty good, but it could be supplemented with a social zone. The Circle of Song. Bards have much to gain from the company of other bards. When bards come together, they can exchange news stories and songs, expanding their repertoires and base of knowledge. The Circle of Song is an informal organization that can be found across Corvair. In principle, it is open to all bards, but a bard who commits a crime against a fellow bard may be judged and expelled from the circle, as it should be. And of course, the chief offense, of course, is pilfering another bard's booze. You might as well just kill the other bard. I mean, if you're going to disrespect him that much, you might as well go all the way. Outposts of the Circle are hidden in most major cities and smaller communities. These are usually taverns or inns with concealed areas accessible only to members of the Circle. The location of these outposts and the passwords required to gain access to them are passed around in the bardic community, often cleverly concealed in popular songs. Yeah, you know a song really well, and you just gotta know what line is the password. Yeah, it's basically based on donation, and the Circle provides bards with the following benefits. The Circle outpost always provides food and shelter for a bard. This may not be comfortable, but it'll save off storm and starvation. The bard is usually expected to perform for other guests at the outpost to prove that the bard is truly a member of the Circle and not a poseur. So it probably help to not be too drunk when you show up, because you gotta perform. I mean, just enough to, like, Of course, if you're drunk enough, then they'll probably believe you were a bard anyway. He's got a loot, and he's smashed, he probably is a bard. Bards exchange stories and news, and an outpost usually has a small library tucked away. So you gather information and knowledge boosts there. That might be good for like how Jarasco and House Fairlane have boosts and cure diseases and whatnot. Maybe you can get a boost to your perform or something. Minor favors are passed around. Gathering information, creating a distraction, ridiculing a particular noble. That's my expertise. Few bards will agree to perform a favor that places them in danger, and bards always expect to have favors repaid in kind. In my book, I keep track of the promises said. It's one of my favorite bards, Stan Rogers. Bards are expected to put aside all personal differences while in a circle outpost. Mortal enemies can meet and discuss past battles over drinks. Breaking this code of conduct results in immediate blacklisting. Brawling. might spill the beer. We can't do that. I do not care how much I hate the bard sitting across from me. I will not risk the beer. All bards are welcome in the circle of the song, but not all bards are members. It is up to the DM to decide whether a particular bard is heard of the organization. Likewise, it may be that the PC bard has yet to encounter the circle. We're probably going to have the circle. I mean, it sounds like a really fun hook. I mean, we might not get it right off the bat. But, really, isn't it time for a little bit more bard? I mean, the bard class is in a good place, don't get me wrong, but other than Nil, have we really done a whole lot of bard things in BDO? I think it's time. And it is in Upper Memphis, which is in one of the two areas that should appear certainly on launch. The Wizard's Circle. Yes, we always had to see, wizards, they're always there. Arcanes. And then they ignore everybody else. Bards are gregarious. They talk a lot, yes, but they talk to everybody. But wizards, it's all like, you're not an arcane. I don't want to talk to you. And say things like you're a dummy and all you do is sing at people. And you're always drunk. I might be projecting a little bit. I'm sorry. True wizards and sorcerers and artificers are rare and remarkable, except in DDO. They can perform feats of magic beyond the talents of the most gifted mage, writer, or adept. Over the last 1,000 years, the Arcanists have formed 3 wizard circles. Okay, so, they got their little guilds. There's the Esoteric Order of Orion. Okay, we've seen a little bit of Orion now. The Guild of Starlight and Shadows. And the Closed Circle. The Wizards of the Closed Circle study the lore of the Dragon Below and the Dalkir, and combined force in 641, the combined forces of the Church of the Silver Flame and the other 2 circles destroyed the Order. We could always see them, kind of return, kind of a new closed circle. You can see that. Most large cities in Brayland have Sanctum for one of the circles, and I'm sure, and obviously both of them are in Sharn. So membership in the Wizards, you see, the Bards get it easy. Bards don't have anything, and the Adventure's kind of cheap, but membership in the Wizard Circle requires an upfront due of 1,000 gold pieces, annual dues of another 250, and tithe 10%. Lord! Since I am doing this for the community, I could get seriously political here, but I will refrain myself and listen to the better angels of my nature and just leave it at that. Lordy, that's a lot of money. You get free room and board at any sanctum, but it is luxurious accommodations and a high level of magical security. So, anybody who's partied with a wizard knows, it's all like, a bard might not want to do any work, but a wizard cannot be uncomfortable. They can go all day casting and fighting, but at the end of the day, if they're like Jeremy Clarkson. If they don't have their steak dinner, they're going to punch somebody, man, if all they get is a sandwich. All right? Then you get a storefront, you get a little discount. You're paying up front for it. Oh, and you can also sell, trade. It's kind of like an arcane marketplace. Away from all the riffraff. Classist means something completely different in Dungeons and Dragons. House Civis kind of runs this and also notarizes the scrolls and whatnot, so that's pretty good. Spell components. you know, 20% discount, 10% discount on magic items. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good deal for the old wizards. And 50% off of any spell you need to inscribe. Nice, because it would be nice to have a place where you could finally, maybe not get them in scrolls. I understand why they would want to restrict the scrolls with UMD as far as the game. But it'd be nice if there was a way, if you could inscribe all the spells somewhere. You know, may not a scroll, but you pay and it is inscribed. It's really kind of hard for some of my artificers because I can't find this. The scrolls I need don't even exist. And so I've got a couple of pure artificers that don't actually have all their spell slots filled. I just don't have the spells. Let's see, the Esoteric Order of Orion. The Orion is the sovereign of both law and lore. So these are lawful. Not lawful, not good or evil. This is lawful or chaotic. They kind of align themselves more often with good because we can see the silver flame there. They follow the rules and traditions of the order, but many more are interested in the acquisition of gold or power than the preservation of society or actual order. These just sounds like, you know, your typical, you know, holier than thou people. So it's good for you to probably play, you know, kind of a Captain Kren role here, going back to Star Trek, where, you know, you actually believe in the principles so much that you would want to honor them, but maybe the people you work for, or the people you work for, don't. You know, it's a question of keep minding your own honor and preserving the honor of the guild at whole. Because of their reputation, I'm going to read this part. Because of their reputation, the wizards of the Esoteric Order are widely respected in Braylon, and the King said on other forces of the Crown are more likely to deal with wizards from the Esoteric Order than those associated with the Guild of Starlight and Shadow. And certainly, forces of law and order are going to want to deal more often with the forces of law and order. There are 179 members spread across Braylon. Most are wizards of 1st to 4th level. Then past that, there are 25 5th levels, 12 6, 6 7s, 3 8s, and 2 9s. So move all those up to the other end, and you can get an idea that, you know, we'll probably have 2 level 30 red name top kicks for this order. So there are 30 or 40 members of the order in Sharn. It is rare for there to be more than 1 or 8th or 9th. We will be dealing with times of trouble, so we'll probably get 1 or 2 more. Human and dwarves make up the majority of the order, though most races are representative, including now 1 Ward-forged artificer named Stone. Nice to see that they're not bowing to some of the more reactionary pressures inside of Sharn. The Guild of Starlight and Shadows emerged in a form of rebellion against the strict rules and structure of the Esoteric Order of Orion. Of course. The guild has always included a large number of sorcerers, and wizards, sorcerers, many of whom found the endless research of the wizards to be a dull torment. The Guild of Starlight and Shadows has always been a dynamic and energetic organization, willing to bend rules and push boundaries. The Order did stand alongside the Circle, still alongside the Order, to fight the Mad Wizards of the Closed Circle. But in general, the members of the guild consider Ordered wizards to be pretentious stuffed rogues, which we have just covered that they probably are. Members often quarrel, and mystical duels are not uncommon. That is awesome. Members of the guild usually want to know the details before casting a spell, but they have no traditions requiring that they obtain this knowledge. And for an extra 25% fee, no questions are asked. Casting for casting's sake is available for a slightly additional charge. Many members of the guild work for dream parlors, cabarets that use exotic display of illusion to entertain customers. We'll probably see this in a toned down version, although they have been shown that recently they are willing to show this kind of stuff in good taste, as we saw in Against the Slave Lords. The forces of the law are often suspicious of members of the guild, and a character who belongs to the Guild of Starlight and Shadows must deal with this prejudice if he ever runs afoul of the law. There's about as many people in the guild as there are in the order. A few less, but doing a little bit better on, I think, the higher level characters here. So, in this case, humans, half-elves, and gnomes are the largest racial groups in the guild. But it also has changelings and elves and a handful of shifters. So that's the three major magical orders. We have basically wizards, basically sorcerers, and basically bards. And artificers are kind of found more with the wizards, but some go with the sorcerers. It does a good job of covering all the arcanes. Mercenary services, House Deneath. I have no idea who these people are, guys. Never heard of House Deneath. Oh wait, no, these are the guys that serve serve up mercenaries in Grand Slam breakfasts. I'm sorry. House Deneath has coordinated mercenary services in Corvair, the typical band of adventurers. Picking up odd jobs is not considered a challenge to House Deneath's monopoly. Adventurers typically encounter Deneath mercenaries as hired guards. There's always a chance that adventurers will choose to take up service with the house, either as a long-term job or to gain access to a restricted area. So the Blade Mark, we all know what the Blade Mark are. These are the official House Deneath troops. These are the ones that are the most committed to the house. They're your typical. They're troopers. That's what they are. When you hire these guys, when it comes down to it, infantry, jarheads, leathernecks, roughnecks, anything like that. They're here because they're relatively good with a sword. They like a lot of marching and polishing. They like following orders. They hope one day to give the orders. They're not dumb, but they're not in it for the adventure. It's not just an adventure; it's a job. Apparently, we have, instead of black belts, they have. Instead of belts, they have swords. So the black blade is the first level warrior. Gray blades are second. White blades are third, and so on and so forth. The Blade Mark provides general security, while the Defenders Guild specializes in personal protection. Okay, so now we have bodyguards. Okay, while the Blade Mark are your typical leatherneck, then the Defenders Guild, they'd be like your secret service. So A Diniath heir. Okay, you have to be part of the Diniath bloodline, and an heir must undergo a series of tests to qualify for service in the guild, including a tour duty and the blade mark, which is actually not uncommon for the Secret Service. Once they have passed this test, they get a writ of the Watchful Eye, and they can present it at any enclave and request work, and they will be pushed to, appropriate place on the list to serve as a personal defender. If there is no jobs available, they get room and board from the house, but no equipment. You get a discount, but no equipment. 20% of your fees go back into the house. A pretty good thing. In Sharn, there are 33 unmarked defenders, so defenders in training. 75 defenders with the least marks, basic bodyguards, and 7 with your average mark. There are no top-end defenders in Sharn, which is still odd. And then we have the standing army, the Sentinel Marshals. So while the other guys are kind of like, platoon for hire, this is actually kind of like hiring hiring an actual army. It's like having some, I wouldn't go as far as say as SEALs, but a ranger unit or somebody from Force Recon. Now you don't have to be part of the House of Diniath, although most officers are. Now, in addition to being more like an elite unit of a standing army, these ones, due to the treaty at the end of the last war, are authorized to enforce the law in all 5 kingdoms. They're not allowed to break the law. So, put it in terms, if it would be like if Kern County Sheriff could go to Las Vegas to apprehend a suspect, but if the suspect runs, then the Kern County Sheriff could not speed to catch them in hot pursuit. I'm sure there was a better analogy I could have come up with, but that's all I could come up with at the time. Okay, so a Sentinel Marshal officer must be part of the house. I'm sorry, not anyone. He will command lesser people in his organization with his authority. So if you're not part of House Diniath, and you want to help enforce the law everywhere, you must be attached to an officer of the Sentinel Marshals. There are 9 full marshals in Sharn, all who serve in the Defenders Guild. So technically you could hire them. But they're probably very busy. They'll probably be giving us missions rather than the other way around. Oh, well, we've covered the arcanes and we've covered law and order. So now, obviously, there's organized crime. Because what would the point of law be if there was no criminals, right? So there are 4 major criminal organizations in Sharn. The Bormar clan, Dask, House, Turkan, and the Tyrants. Any rogue who wishes to actively pursue a criminal career in Sharn needs to forge an alliance with one of these organizations. The Bormar clan allows thieves to operate independently in exchange for a weekly tribute of 10% of their earnings. And you're being observed by an enforcer. If you don't work with the Bormars, then you'll meet the enforcer. You can become an active member, which is 15% of your criminal earnings or 1 gold piece a week, whichever is higher. And then you get the access to the resources of the guild. And you are to observe the honor of thieves within your guild. So if you join the Boromars, don't be picking no Boromar pockets. However, any rival gang, like the Dask, hey, if you can find a way to get rid of them quietly, do so. So the Boromars are the most powerful, and they control the smuggling trade and own most of the gambling halls. Also, fences and thieves are the domain of Boromar. Extortion, blackmail, and graft that extends from the slums of Lordura to the heights of Skyway, with its headquarters in Little Plains of Middle Memphis. So obviously, this is something we could see at launch if the areas of the Central Plateau, Memphis, and Tavix Landing are indeed included. Hello, Rolona. Glad you could drop by. The Boromar patriarchs have invested wisely and are one of the 60 families of Sharn. So we're talking about, the mafia that made it. We're like talking about maybe a certain bootlegging clan that would, have prominent members of its family and local and Breland politics. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Boromar owns most of the warehouses in Precarious and Coss Edge, which are on the outer wall. Taverns and inns throughout the city, and of course has their own above-board shipping trade because, you got to have some way to launder that money. A Boromar heir sits on the City Council of Sharn, and the current patriarch is also part of the Gold Concord of the Arum. So these guys are really kind of top kick here. Now, let's go ahead and jump back. We already know that Boromar is involved in local politics, but let's talk about our adventuring hooks here. Right now they're feuding with Dask, and they're becoming bolder and more frequent with each passing month, and the monsters are beginning to muscle in on many of the activities controlled by the Boromar. The Boromar are fixed, and therefore are slow to react, while the Dask is mobile and using guerrilla tactics. Now, if the Boromars can find out kind of where Dask is controlled, they can lop off the head. But as long as Dask keeps moving around, they're going to hurt Boromar more. So the Boromars are finding their position weakened because they have not responded well to the challenge by Dask. Even if Dask disappeared tomorrow, it says the reputation lost has been significant. Pretty crest, though. Dask is an aggressive criminal organization led by monstrous immigrants from Droam. It has been building its power in Kyber's Gate in the Upper Cogs and Malian's Gate in Lower Dura for over 10 years. But over the past 2 years, Dask has burst out of the Cogs and into the lower wards of the city. So now they're working at the bottom and working their way up. Dask places great emphasis on physical violence like armed robbery, muggings, assassination, and protection rackets. But they are beginning to diversify. We've got, obviously, kind of a drug trade going on with Dream Lily and Heartflow, which I don't think we'll see in the game. They've been pretty good about not having that going that far with the game. Alcohol's about maybe bootlegging. Maybe you can change it to bootlegging dirty kobolds. And they've been selling services of its monstrous agents as assassins, bodyguards, and laborers. So kind of also muscling in on a little bit, kind of becoming like the poor man's house Denis. Um, in all honesty, I see Dask being secure, less because Dask is secure, but the reluctance, the Boromars have been trying to go legit, and so they really don't want, probably find it hard to either gain allies willing to help them or go themselves down to the lower reaches. They kind of see themselves as a little bit of, we made it, hoity-toity, Michael Corleone kind of a thing. Yeah. Dask is, they're hungry. In traditional crime literature, it's easier to start at the bottom and go up than make it all the way to the top and go legit and still be able to control the seedier side of your operations, because the seedier side of your operations the impression of them severely hurt your legitimacy. So you kind of move away from them and you leave a power vacuum. One that Dask is willing to fill from Clan Boromar. Of course, Dask, being from Droam, has the additional factor of not being in it just for the money. They are also agents of Sora Cal and Sorakatra, one of the three hags that rule Droam. We've met Sora Cal. So obviously, we're talking about, because they never signed the treaty at the end of the last war, we're also talking about real Droam expansions. How's Tarkan now? Tarkanan. I say Tarkanian. House Tarkanan is known as a small order of highly skilled assassins and thieves. When they first appeared in Sharn 6 years ago, the Boromar clan attempted to assimilate them, and when that didn't work, eliminate them. So how they did it, how they decided to deal with them, is that they came to an agreement that there would be a ceasefire between the two groups, between Boromar and House Tarkanan. Because while Tarkanan is small, they seem to be very, very adept. It would have cost Boromar more to fight the war than it would be to accept Tarkanan's place. Tarkanan focuses on three services: theft, burglary, and the work of the cutpurse. Assassination of various means. The price varies on how hard it will be to accomplish and the danger both to bystanders and to the agent. And then the final service is manslaughter. While assassination is more along the lines of making it... Assassination is, evasion, precision, usually political. Manslaughter is more of the revenge business. It does not matter how dirty the killing is. Manslaughter, I see them both kind of as the same thing, but manslaughter is more like, hey, I just want this guy dead by whatever means possible. And, assassination, it's all like, I want it clean. Maybe I need to frame somebody and whatnot. And some manslaughter is cheaper. House Tarkanan does not target high-ranking members of any of the major criminal organizations in Sharn. They will not get involved in the general pissiness of the criminal organizations. And the house does not guarantee success. If the assassin is killed, you done lost your money. If they find out that it's by incompetence, they may offer you a second assassin. But, House Tarkan also offers one additional special service, Assassination of the Soul. The house possesses a single +1 Keeper's Fang Dagger, and for twice the usual fee, a House Tarkan assassin will kill her target using the dagger, trapping the soul in the domain of the Keeper, and thus preventing her from being raised or resurrected. So while the resurrection and raised dead is rare on Eberron, it's not really rare in DDO. I can see this playing out that, where if you have one, fine, or you're given one that drops on the end of the adventure, where you have to bring back a soul gem. And that would be a neat quest for them to do, I think. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Go collect the soul gem of my enemy. House Tarkan's business is straightforward enough, and most people who are familiar with the underworld know them. Few people know the history of their organization. Toward the end of the last war, the Brailish King's Dark Lanterns assembled a team of spies who all bore aberrant dragon marks, hoping to harness their powers in the work of espionage. The experiment was a failure. Half the group ended up killed. The Dark Lanterns tried to silence the remnants of the group, but the surviving members fled to Sharn. Wow, once again, this is, it's all like, hey, we're going to treat you right. Oh, ultimate betrayal. Now we've set up our criminal organization. So, this is Eberron. Everybody's going to have a hidden motive, and while they seem like ordinary assassins, they are trying to form the House of the Aberrant Dragon Marks. Sounds like a good place to find members of Vol. The Tyrants. Ooh, looks like theirs is a dragon Fabergé egg. That's pretty cool, actually. I like that. That's awesome. The Tyrants are a mysterious guild of shapeshifters, and they control most of the bordellos in Sharn. And that a great many of prostitutes of the city are actually changelings working for the Tyrants. And if you don't know, it doesn't matter. But the reason why they do this, and this has really been a common thing across history, they operate bordellos in search of information. Using their shapeshifting and telepathic abilities, they acquire secrets that can be used for blackmail. They forge coins, identification, ID papers, and art. They pickpocket in switching out identification papers for forged papers to frame people. Yeah, that is. They steal identities, help fugitives start a new life for a fee, and they are both useful and dangerous to deal with. The Tyrants have been operating in Sharn for 300 years. While there were initial clashes between the two groups, Boromar ultimately agreed to a truce with the Tyrants. Both to operate in different arenas and do their best to avoid directly interfering with one another. Adventurers are most likely to seek out the Tyrants to obtain info. The Tyrants have spies hidden everywhere in the city. And when they don't have a spy directly, they have plants and infiltrators. However, they are available for work for hire, so they may oppose your party. If the price is right, the Tyrants can provide body doubles. So, maybe, I don't know how they do this. This would be neat if they could find a way to create NPCs that could read your party. And you could have one where the Tyrants are framing your party. That would be cool, I think. That would be It's like, you are Frank. We got evidence. So it looks like here on the artwork we have one of those duels between the circle and the order. Or no, look at this. We got Verona de Caniev had no patience for the ancients of House Therani. Oh, they had their place in society to be sure, but it was definitely not spying on her while she was enjoying a night at the Sharn Opera House. And I like how nobody's paying attention to the singer anymore. Everybody's turned around to watch the duel down here. That's funny right there. She so wanted to hear the half-orc bard sing this evening. Instead, she was locked in a duelist spells with this clumsy elf who didn't know how to stick to the shadows. So you see her dragon mark right there. Blow up from that. Kind of, I don't know. For me, even for Kenneth, I think that's more Friday business casual than Night Out at the Opera. I'm not saying I wouldn't like that outfit in the game. All right, well, that brings us to Heroes in Magic. And we will cover that next weekend on the Sharn stream. I appreciate everybody who came in to watch and to find out what it would be like with the various guilds, orders, and organizations that might appear in Sharn. I think that's pretty neat. I'm not too sure we'll cover a whole lot in Heroes in Magic. This is more about particular magic that you may, a rare magic you may find in Sharn, or magic you would need to effectively adventure in Sharn. We're going to, obviously a lot of this is going to be tied, as we can see right here, to the Manifest Zone of Serenia. And because, that's, a Manifest Zone is cool. Maybe in this area, we'll get maybe the ability in a way so that in this area, this large area, we can move around Sharn using the fly spell. Ooh. I know everybody wants the fly spell after seeing it work in Reaver's Reach. And it doesn't, there's not that much to do in Reaver's Reach, but it's kind of neat to fly around. Or in the Reaver's Fate Ray. I mean, you need the fly spell to go through the spiking tube, but it might be nice for every now and then to have a limited access to the fly spell, just so you can zip around, and I think that would be neat. Anyway, that's just a little bit of taste. I'll read over it during the week, and when we get back, maybe we'll go even deeper than I thought we would. But for now, I wish everybody out there peace and good questing. We'll see you on the DDO channel here in just about an hour and 10 minutes for Bard Live. Thanks for watching.